Okay, so welcome back. And then we would also like to have the ID as well printed out along with the account. So hey, ID. Let's grab the ID as well and print it out and have it displayed for us on the screen. Now, also we would like some sort of a description. So yes, please, we will take the description. Notice that the description has been placed in paragraph tags because it is a description after all. So balance shall be placed in paragraph tags as well, and we have placed strong here. Does anybody know what strong means in HTML like this? Well, it just means that whatever is printed out here in between the tags will be bold. There'll be bold letters. So acc.balance, that's how we're accessing that. And then down below, we have button, click, and on click, call method remove account. That was my phone in the background, if you didn't notice. But you have a button and says on click, call this method, remove account, and pass the index value of that account, which is basically the ID which has the same value as the ID. And if we take a look at the app component.ts, you will see that we do indeed have a method remove account, which takes in a number, and then it says this dot accounts, and then it uses the splice, so it removes the current instance of that account depending on the index number that is passed. Now, if we go down further away from the for loop, so this is the for loop between these div tags. This will be the portion of the for loop. Now, if we go down a little bit further, we will see that we're doing something rather strange. So this, and this, these are two pretty much same codes for different input fields. Now, there you have a label, and then it says for equals title, and then title colon a close label tag. And then input and ID is equal to title as well. So from the input, you know that you specify the type, and then you specify the name, and if you would like to give some value as well. And this part here is actually a reference to the HTML element input. But I will get to that. For now, I wish to explain why are we using this label and this for. Let me just go ahead and open up the site. And if I scroll down, you will see it says title here. Now this is in direct reference to title here. Let me just find it. There we go. So, oops. Let's go ahead and minimize this a little bit so that you can see what's going on. Okay, so you have this div, and this div is directly responsible for this part here, for this input field and the letters and the word title and colon. Now, the reason why we have this for, and we're passing to this for the ID title, which title is within the label. Well, that's because when we click on title, you see when we click, the cursor switches to that input field. If I click on description, the cursor switches to that input field. If I click on balance, the cursor switches to that input field. So we can also click on the fields themselves directly, but we can also click on the words next to the fields thanks to this label. So you just type in for equals, and you give the ID to the HTML element, and then you pass that ID to the label. Simple as that, no big deal. And then you can write something here. In our case, it's title colon. It's not necessary, but it's a very nice, convenient thing to have around. If I expand this, if I go down to the bottom, so the same logic applies here, the same logic applies here, and here you have a different logic. This is basically click to create an account. So this here is this entire div, or should I say this method, is entirely dependent on these references to HTML elements. Because if you remember from before, the create account actually takes on HTML elements as its parameters. So we're creating a reference to these HTML elements to the input fields, and then we are passing those HTML element references to the create account function method. I keep confusing method and function. They are pretty much the same thing. just different naming conventions. And if I just find a create, okay, so it says private and then create account method here. It says title. This here that says any just means any HTML element. We were too lazy to specify to specify which HTML element, so we've typed in any. It says title L, desk L, and bal L. So title, description, and balance. And we've basically stated that it's any HTML element and any HTML element. And again, any, because we were too lazy to actually specify which ones do we actually want. Anyway, those three HTML elements are passed here, and I've explained this function in the previous tutorials when we were working on app.component.ts. But the general reasoning behind passing the HTML elements as opposed to their values, which you can see down below, it says title L.value, is because we want to reset the fields. Upon input, we want to reset the fields. Balance shall be basically just 0, and these values, these two strings, shall be reset to nothing. They will be empty. So upon the creation of an account, reset all input fields and make them empty again, except balance, set that to 0 for some strange reason. That was the decision that was made. Anyway, it says this.accounts.push. Okay, so we would like to create a new account. All of this has been explained. If you didn't understand it to the best of your abilities, please go back a tutorial or post a question in the discussion section. Anyway, we're pulling the values from the HTML fields within the function parameters themselves. So it's title L.value, this L.value, and bal L.value. Anyway, we go back here. So on click, please create a new account with the input provided. And of course, the name within this button shall be create. Okay, so I'm gonna call the tutorial here, and then the follow-up we'll just see how this actually works and how this reacts based upon our clicking an input and what are some of the possible scenarios that are going to happen. Just 5 more minutes, and then we're going to move on to styles. Let's go ahead and minimize this. So the code is still here. Make sure that it is saved so that it would be loaded. And let's go back to the site. So it says this is my main bank account and the balance is such and such. And I don't know, there's another one which we have also initialized. It says bank ASD and bank XYZ. And this is the title, this is the iteration or the index, and this is the description, this is the balance, and the same goes for the next account. So if I click on delete, it will disappear, and if I click on delete again, it will disappear, and both of them will disappear, and it will say you do not have any accounts yet, please add it. Or add them. I should have written add them, but it doesn't matter. However, this is not being saved to a database or anything like that. So that might be a little bit problematic for us because, as you can see, if I refresh the site, press Ctrl R, oops, reinitialization will occur, and I will have the beginning status basically. From where we began, there we shall end up. That's why later on we will implement a database so that we can have permanent changes on our site and that we can actually store things from our site, store the information from our site. And of course, this will start looking a lot prettier. I mean, there is a version of the Bootstrap that is running now with Angular 2, but yeah, I will show you how you can actually customize things on your own. Anyway, let's go ahead and create a title here. So, I don't know, bank, description, I am broke, amount of money, well, a lot of 9s. Create. And there you go. It indeed creates it. But if I refresh the site, it disappears. So that's the current logic and the current state of things and how it actually works because we're not saving anything anywhere. The initial code is just being reloaded. Anyway, that's how it works. I'm gonna bid you farewell here, and in the follow-up chapter, we will move on to styles. So we won't necessarily make our site pretty, but I will show you how you can actually change things, how you can change the way things look and display on your site. Don't worry, eventually, as we move onwards with our application, this will start to take shape and it will look better and better and better until it actually starts looking like a real world application.